No, maybe 17 hours. I mean, I can use the camera on the computer too, and I'll point it at the ground and not see the camera. Good job. Real cookies. Yeah, I'm the director and producer. They killed the people. Well, no, well, this the broadcast, the first one they did. No, now the Viking, the broadcast, the Viking. Yeah. Yeah, they look at it. No, I have a folder list of options this week. All the people they sent me are very, yeah, it's an easy job. I mean, like certain courses. That's why we have I spend a lot of money doing turbines and but cheap is cheap, like $150 a year. But and that's what they're measuring that for software. And the broadcast system is free. And it's not complicated. I figured it out last 2 weeks ago for the first time. It's free, you can live stream, but it's free recording the file. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of good stuff out there. And it's really good. It's with country bands and you can direct a TV show with it.
How's it going? Tim Ryan. John, nice to meet you, John. Yeah. You know what Galveston is, right? Right after the expressway.
Yes. Pretty easy back there, you know.
Yeah, the office right there. Now,
This is
we'll get a short presentation there, and
little
all you
phone
need to do.
E6 R2.
I mean, I'll see you week before, make sure the orders actually have their safety advance and develop. Be downstream.
You got happy hour. So we're finding out whether your USB feed into the computer. Um, usually that is. Well, we have some people in the office, and that's going to require several technicians. Only two is enough. Trucks are sitting there. The signal is you get two external microphones that plug in. The AC channel. The real big program at the end on that house fire.
Well, yeah, there's all the cycling, track cycling too, right? So, you know, guys can
Stop
start,
those
guys
guys.
can go out on top of stuff also.
We got a huge camera.
Okay. Is it a snowshoe? Yeah. He's all fleet on.
And let me just get this for Richard.
Are you?
Thank you. I get to be on the mic. Good news or no news for me, but bad news for everybody.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm excited. Chased a few away, found a few others. We've been finding them throughout the winter too. All right. If we got anybody else coming in. All right. Gonna flash the house lights. Your microphone.
You guys started.
I'm sitting here, so you might be hearing me.
Does it need to point one way or the other?
No, it doesn't have to be visible. You can just click it under. Yeah, that'll work.
That'll work?
That should work.
Oh.
Put it on the bill of your hat. Be inconspicuous.
They had a light on there all day.
That'll work too. Hey, Ace. I know they can't see it. All right, well, it's close enough to 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming to our third session this year. Tim Riley. Next time we get together in 2 weeks, it'll be Jacob Northwies from Pheasants Forever. I guess he's going to talk about maybe some restoring pheasant habitat up above Flint, I hope. That'd be neat. This evening, Tim's with us. Tim's a forest technician, acting wildlife technician, acting wildlife biologist, right? Good. And he's an expert on riverboats. He's got a vast collection of talents that he has used the community to help the community. So I'll turn it over to you before I embarrass myself anymore. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. So I'm here to talk about habitat, but this time of year I'd like to talk about bear nuisance stuff. So if you'll be patient with me at the end, I'll go into a little bit of some bear stuff for you folks. I also saw that you folks up here wanted to hear a little bit about the wolf survey that we did, so we can go into a little bit of that. I brought some props to show you some stuff. But the first thing I want to mention is hosting a woodcock walk here. Ruff Grouse Society, American Woodcock Society, and Michigan DNR. Folks that want to come out, we're going to give a presentation and then take you out in the woods and right before dark and show you a woodcock male singing display. So if you've never seen a woodcock, it's a cool opportunity. They're a super cool bird, and unless you're a hunter, most folks really don't get a chance to see them. So again, Tim Riley with the Wildlife Division out of the Grayling Unit. And there's my cell phone number. So if you have any wildlife questions at all, feel free to give me a call. I'm pretty reachable and can hopefully help you. So with that, we'll talk about some of the habitat we see going on around here. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. Just throw your hand up. We can answer them as we go along, or there'll be time at the end. Okay, so the Grayling unit, most of you folks I'm assuming are from Lovell, so you're real familiar with this area. But we've got the AuSable and Manistee River watersheds, some of my favorite things. But we've also got the Kirtland's Warbler, right? So it's a conservation success story. You guys have a ton of Kirtland's Warbler habitat right here, for better, for good. But again, it was on the endangered species list and came off. So super proud to have that in the Grayling unit. We're kind of the epicenter for it in its range. We got a lot of historical sites, right? We got Hartwick Pines, but we've got all the river and lumbering history right here. We've got Camp Grayling, again, for better or for worse, but Camp Grayling does a lot for us, and I'll talk about our partnership with them here in a little bit for wildlife habitat. And then world-class hunting, fishing, in the outdoors, right? That's why most of us choose to live here. As far as the hunting goes, any bird season in Crawford County, I can drive around and count 12 different license plates from different states. So folks are coming from all over to recreate right in our backyard. And then GEMS, right? Everybody talks about the grouse enhanced management areas. Ask me if we have one. We don't have a GEMS here. So when I started on working 12 years ago with the Wildlife Division here in Grayling, they were really pushing for us to have a GEMS. And, one of our local foresters, my buddy Tom and I talked about it. It's like, you know what? Why don't we just make the whole 3 counties a GEM, right? We don't need our own. So that's always been our goal. Crawford, Escoda, Alcona counties, that is considered the Grayling unit. 279,000 acres of state land that you guys can recreate on, right? I grew up down in Jackson County. I mean, if you didn't have permission to deer hunt, you weren't deer hunting, right? We are very, very blessed to have all that here. And that doesn't even mention the Forest Service lands that we have. The map will show you just kind of the different units, right? So Glavin, Roscommon, Sea Grayling, Cadillac, Traverse City. So that's how things are broken down. So each one of those different, polygons is going to have a wildlife biologist in it. Mine just happens to be the Grayling unit. Okay, so talking about habitat. So what are we doing, right? So a large focus for wildlife habitat goes into keeping a diverse forest mix on the landscape. And we do this through timber sales, prescribed burns, openings creation, and rehabilitation. And those rehabilitations are things like old log landings, gas wells, those kinds of things. And then mass tree plantings, trails, etc. And I'll get into some ways that you folks can help with some of that stuff if interested. So why are we doing those things? Anybody know what that little bird in the middle is? It's a woodcock chick, right? It's a little baby woodcock. So he got himself a band. So not only does this work provide improved wildlife habitat, but also creates resilient and healthy wildlife populations, right? Habitat is the key for everything with wildlife. If you don't have habitat, you're not gonna have the wildlife. The better the habitat, the more resilient that wildlife is going to be if something's going on, right? The more hunting pressure we put on it, the more important it is that we have quality habitat. So we already talked about everybody comes up and hunts in our backyard. Even more important to have quality habitat so it can take the pressure. But why else? Okay, so habitat diversity also creates opportunity for a lot of recreation, right? So I like really young 15-year-old aspen stands, right? But that's not the greatest thing to be camping in, right? And nobody wants to camp in a 15-year-old jack pine stand, right? It's super hot and there's ants all over in it. But the Kirtland warbler needs that. We're trying to manage for a diverse group of interests, okay? So camping, hiking, birding, foraging, hunting, so much more. So here's my 3 reasons why. We're stewards of the land, right? Not just for the things we love, but for forest health, wildlife, and for our future generations, right? There's my old bird dog Rio, and there's my daughters, right? That's my why, right? I provide this habitat, so yeah, there's wildlife on it, but then also my dog and my kids get to enjoy it as well. I'm sure many of you are the same. Okay, so what and why we've got figured out. So now how? Okay, I'll say it and say it and say it. My biggest tool as a wildlife manager is Forest Resource Division. If we didn't have Forest Resource Division as partners and co-managers, we wouldn't get any of the work that we get done, right? If I was going to lose my last tool, I'd want it to be my co-management with Forest Resource Division, okay? So the way we do this is you take that 279,000 acres and we're going to look at 10% of that every year for 10 years, okay? So every inch of state forest land is getting examined once every decade, okay? And what are we looking for, right? We're looking at age, health, density, size, species composition, and from those things, once it's inventory, we can decide, okay, is this aspen stand ready to go? It's 40 years old, but you know what? It could probably hang on another 10 years. Let's just set this one aside. Or hey, we got this log landing that could use rehab. Let's turn it into a wildlife opening. Okay. Or hey, look, this red pine, it's merchantable age. It's most valuable point right now. Okay, let's get it cut and plant some more red pine. Those are the discussions that happen. It's just not Forest Resource Division's decision. They're also running it by division, they're running by parks division and wildlife division. Sit down at the table, make the decision. So um, it's a group effort. You see the map, these are the maps that get created from forest inventory. This isn't far from here, it's up north Wakely stuff. See all these squares, the A's, yellow A is good stuff, it's aspen, right? And then based on the number, it tells you how dense that aspen is and what age class of aspen it is. Um, and then you see all the squigglies and stuff on this grassy opening. That just means it has a prescription in it, probably a burn prescription or a food plot prescription for that opening. Okay, so how? So hitting reset. Like I said, some of that stuff, it's to the age where it needs to be clear cut, right? If we don't clear cut it, that stand is going to morph into something else, or when it does decide to be cut, if it's cut too late, it's not going to regenerate as vigorously. So, do we all like looking at clear cuts? No. Are there going to be some clear cuts that I don't ever get to see them produce acorns again? Yeah. It's a bummer, but every generation has to live through that. And to keep a diverse forest landscape on, we have to do some clear cutting. Um, so you got things on a forest rotation. It's going to help you keep your stand type, frequency, and mimics Mother Nature. So, here's an aspen stand. So we prescribed these aspen stands to be cut. This aspen stand is probably 3 or 4 years old now. But look at this big, beautiful, gnarly hawthorn that produces every year. This is down in the Mason tract, right? There's no birds down there, but there's a great hawthorn tree down there. Um, those are some of the prescriptions we can put on it, right? Just because it gets clear cut doesn't mean that there wasn't a shrub spec put on there and those mass trees were saved. And then all that aspen grows up back around it, and those grouse and deer and turkeys get to continue to enjoy that old hawthorn tree. How mastication, right? So there's a masticator sitting out just north of town right now, and then this is one the wildlife division owns here in my picture. That helps us to set back succession as well, right? If something's not merchantable, things like tag alders and stuff like that, we'll go in and mow it down. Helps us create pine barrens. Got a really nice pine barrens complex over by just north of Mile off Mount Tom Road. We call it the Frost Pocket. It's got a lot of rare, sensitive species and plants in it. It gets burned often, but burning alone can't help keep up with it. So we've got this pecan machine that we go and help take care of things. It also helps me create some forested openings and also keep those openings, um, cleaned up and brushed out. Prescribed burns, right? We do a lot of burning around the grayling unit, and for good reason, right? Helps with our pines burns management, but it also helps regenerate some of these sensitive species that we want to get back on the landscape or really promote. And then it also is great with invasive treatments. This particular picture here, this is down on Saginaw Bay, doing some Phragmites burning to set that back. Okay, farming. How many of you guys have seen some of my rye fields or buckwheat fields around? Oh, okay, nobody. So we plant about 900 acres in the grayling unit. That's probably spread on any given year over 200 to 300 different wildlife openings. Quite a few of them are up on military lands, and that's one of our key partnerships with them. Uh, the military they do.
There's Marsh too, right?
Connors Marsh has one there. Yep, very good. Yep. So Connors Marsh, that's one that we've been doing, I think, probably all 12 years that I've been here. But yep, those so most of those are on a rotation. One spring we'll plant them, the following fall we'll plant them, bounce back and forth. I'd like to say a lot of them would go off into perennials. We wouldn't have to plant them every year, but with our sandy soils here, it's pretty tough to get perennials growing in most of them. So, we plant them. They're great for wildlife. They're great for hunters. But again, a lot of those are on the wild or on the camp grayling lands, and not only do they provide the funding, but they also provide a lot of manpower for them. Out of that 900 acres, they do not quite a third, but probably 25 to 30% every year. They take care of those for me. So that'll lead us into partnerships. So Rough Grouse Society, um, Upland Habitat Conservancy, National Electric Federation, Camp Grayling, MUCC, those are all really good partners for us. We couldn't get nearly as much done. I've got a $65,000 habitat budget. That's it for 3 counties. That was 900 acres plus everything else that we tried to get done. We probably quadruple that with these partners. So it would really scale back the amount of work that I'm able to do. Just a couple examples for this year. Rough Grouse Society, National Turkey Federation, they gave me a $102,000 grant that we were able to leverage funds with to do a lot of that work. Upland Habitat Conservancy, they donated $15,000 worth of trees this year. So all those mass trees are getting put actually in the Lovell's area. It's probably going to be mostly like KP Truck Trail, Lonesome Lake, that little hot grouse loop that so many people enjoy. We're going to get a bunch of mass trees in there. And they're not just, oh, okay, we planted some mass trees and hopefully in 20 years they're producing. No, we're planting mass trees and they have fruit on them while we're planting them. So I'm really excited about that project. That's going to be April 18th. They've got a lot of volunteers for it, but if you want to come out, just kind of follow some of the social media stuff with Upland Habitat Conservancy, and they're going to be putting all that stuff and how to sign up on their site. and we provide lunch that day. So current projects. So last year, 3 chapters of the Rough Grouse Society. Chapters that are mostly downstate, except my home chapter, but they do all their hunting up here. So they're raising money. They do a great job with that, but they got nowhere to spend the money down there in Lansing. So they bring their money up here and spend it with us, which I'm very, very grateful for. So those 3 chapters kicked in is along with the National Wild Turkey Federation, which has been a great longtime partner of mine, to leverage more money out of my budget. We were able to put in 6 miles of hunter walking trails. So if you ever run into any of these orange gates, you might want to take a walk with your bird dog because there's probably a significant reason that I put a gate there and planted a clover trail. Some other things that they were able to do is help us with rehabbing several of those log landings, right? I really like doing, and Tom Barnes and I have mapped out quite a few hunter walking trails. It's nice, they go in, they log all the timber, and then you just got this dirt trail, right? And a lot of times it gets overgrown, but nothing really comes of it. Then you got all these log landings where they're just kind of like stump piles, right? Or some chip piles. Well, if we're going in and we say, hey, you know what? They're not going to cut this again for 40 years. Let's turn it into a nice clover trail for the wildlife, for the hunters, for the birders to walk. And then you got all these little 1 acre wildlife openings that are great for nesting, right? And those log landings. And then when it's time to log it again, turn it over to the loggers for 3 or 4 years. They can get in and do their thing way more efficiently. And then we get our trail back and we start all over again. So that's been a great thing. This year, we're going to do even more of those. We're going to bump it up to 10 miles, and we're going to slop over into Kalkaska County, and then we're going to go over into Grand Traverse County and help out with their gems, the Little Betsy gem. That's a great gem if you've never hunted it, or if you like the bird, I would spend some time over there. They got a great trail network. We're going to also get an additional 310 acres of wildlife opening plantings done, right? And that's going to be a lot of pollinator stuff, but that stuff's also great for deer, turkey, and grouse. Like I said, we leveraged $102,000, and remember, my budget's only 65,000, so that is a significant, you know, almost triple to my budget. April 25th, that is the volunteer day we are hosting, and I could not get the printer to work properly to print flyers out for that. But again, follow the Jim Foote Rough Grouse Society chapters Facebook pages. They're going to have all the registrations through MUCC to sign up for that. You come, you plant some trees. It's going to be up in this area, and then we're also optimistic we're going to have enough volunteers. There's a couple of state land trash sites that we've identified. We got Adopt a Forest to donate a dumpster to us, so we're gonna divide and conquer and get some of that. And our wildlife division chief's gonna be there that day. So if you ever wanted to meet our chief, Sarah Thompson, she will be there helping out with all of that.
Tim, maybe going forward, not listed on Trout Opener Day?
So you pick a Saturday and you have a comment on every Saturday for
Yeah.
that. Trust me, I know. You know, as a trout fisherman, I feel your pain. You know. But you know what? It is usually cold in the morning. So come plant trees, we'll be done by noon. We'll feed you and you can go catch the afternoon Hendricksons.
I want you out here to run the leaky waiter.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what can you do to help? So the biggest thing you can do, right? And the older I get, the more I'm learning this. So join conservation organizations, right? I don't know if any of you guys have heard about backcountry hunters and anglers. There's a lot of stuff going on out west that they're supporting, a lot of this public land stuff. And it's like, oh, it's not really in my backyard. I don't really pay attention. That stuff's coming, right? And we see things happen in our backyard all the time. We're going to want support from these national organizations. Join them, even if it's just one, pick your favorite and join it. I try to help out Trout Unlimited Rough Grouse Society as much as my family time allows, and it's super rewarding. You get as much as you put into it. Volunteer days, I've talked to you folks about a couple of those. Attend your local state forest open houses, right? So this is the biggest thing. I give talks and people say, well, they're cutting in my backyard, or why did they do this in my favorite deer hunting spot, or what do you think's going to happen here in the next 10 years? You all have an opportunity to see that ahead of time, in real time, and leave your comments, and those comments are taken to heart, okay? So every year we have compartment open houses. And I can provide you the link for it. Always want to bring a QR code if people can just scan it, but I can get you the details. And when the ground open house is, you can get online, you can see all the information ahead of time. And if you don't have time to come, you can email, you can call me, I can write the comments down. But not just if you complain, right? Amazon reviews are mostly complaints. If you support something, we need to hear those things too, okay? So if you're excited that we're doing some cutting in your favorite grouse cover, leave a comment on that too. If you're not super excited about something that's happening next to your house, come comment on that as well. You have an opportunity to help us manage these lands, and we can't be everywhere, so your eyes and ears are helpful too. So that's another big help. Private lands habitat work, if you got 5 acres, if you got 2 acres, right? Doing some pollinator mixes, just doing something in your flower beds, all of it can help for wildlife, right? It all rolls downhill. It's a snowball effect. Continue to enjoy the outdoors, whether it's hunting and fishing, camping, birding, whatever, and take kids out, right? You know, if we don't take the next generation out, you know, this is all gonna turn into sewers. So, any questions on that particular stuff?
One thing I had, Tim, is the
So this is
open
Tom
house.
Barnes. He's our unit manager, Forest Resource Division. You don't know Tom.
Our inventory process is 2 years in advance.
Mm.
So, you know, if you come to the open house, it's not stuff that's gonna be done that year. We're planning 2 years out in advance, so we would rather hear your concerns, your support. What would you like to see done ahead of time before the paint's on the ground? Cause after that point, it might be too late. So that is the process. We'll have it out there, it's out for 30 days, then we have the open house to discuss it. Provide your feedback, and then we have our formal review. But as Tim said, everything's taken to the heart, you know, it's a time to ask, why did you guys decide to do this? And, you know, my staff is very good, and I'm very transparent, I'll tell you why. You know, and we may not always agree, but, you know, as Tim said, we both have a job of being stewards of the land, and that's what's driving our management.
Very well said.
I have a question from the live stream.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's the first time that's happened.
It's probably anonymous, but okay.
No, Advanced Diesel is his handle.
Advanced
Um,
diesel.
How does newer DNR adoptions of intense applications of herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, larvicides, etc., affect our wildlife, insects, mycelium, soil microbiology, etc.?
I am not an expert on probably the last 5 words that you said, but where all of that is done is through it all has to go through forest certification, so all has to be approved stuff, and all those things are taken into account, right? And it does seem like it's heavy-handed and used some places, but it's only used when it has to happen, right? If you're going to get certain red pine stands to grow, you have to eliminate its competition to get them to grow, right? So it's used where and when it needs to be done. As far as wildlife division, which I have way more experience with than the forestry part of it, it is used, I should say very sparingly, but when it's used, it's to combat invasives 90% of the time. The other part of it is to rehab things like pine barrens, and that's stump spraying, and that is a very localized, you know, targeted spray that is also a chemical that is not going to be a crazy chemical that's going to affect a ton of other things. Yeah.
Thanks.
My question is, I got whatever I got in levels, 10 acres of jack pine, right? And it was all top,
Mhm.
right? So I've worked through,
By Mother Nature.
yes,
Yeah.
it's 150 trees slowly, but I have a huge area in the back where it's still just a standard. Should I is it just cutting them down? I mean, it creates openings, but should I be doing something more specific as far as replacing them? I just like the fact that the oaks are doing something, the oaks are gonna grow a little bit.
I'd let the oaks grow then. Yeah. It's probably going to be pin oak, right? But
Yeah, it won't be like a quality,
Right.
you know, or hybrid red flat. You know, what you could do is allow those stump sprouts to come up. And then you may have 20 stump sprouts, but look for maybe the dominant feed, and then trim everything else back, and allow that root system just to feed those two. And you'll get the tree coming back in good shape.
I don't have huge, not really a stump. Right. It's all jack pine, so.
yeah.
It's
And
just getting rid of it, and I know fire wise, that's a concern of them. So it's on the ground, it'll go faster.
Mhm. And if you do open some stuff up and you want to get some trees in it, then just go buy you some nice trees from Netta's or something up north and get them in there.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a mention of wolves and the wolf census, wolf survey. Okay, so what we did is we did a citizen science wolf survey. So I'm the northern lower point person for wolves. Since I've been here, you know, the only confirmed wolf that we've had in the northern lower is the one that was trapped, thinking it was a coyote, was turned out to be a wolf, and I believe that was Presque County, and I think it was the year I came, 2013 or 2014. So this year, because we haven't done a formal track survey in a number of years, we did a citizen science survey. Where basically, they gave my number out and my email address, and anybody that wanted to report a wolf, it was supposed to be just in the northern lower, but it ended up being quite a bit more than that. It's amazing how many wolves are in Livonia, or wolf sightings are in Livonia. I wish I was joking, but So anyways, folks would call and report, right? If they had any documentation, if they had a track, a picture of a track, um, a picture of a wolf or a coyote or whatever they wanted to report, I would take that in, I would review them. If I had any second guessings or any questions about it, I would send it to our wolf specialist up in Marquette, Brian Roll, and he would confirm or deny what my thoughts were, and we would go on from there. Out of hundreds of reports and evidence submitted, couldn't confirm any of them being wolves. Any of the ones that were just sightings, like, oh, I had a wolf cross in front of the road down at the Holt Lake Flats. Okay. The only thing that I can do with that is I can make a note where it was at, and then if I continue to get reports in that area, that kind of gives that a little bit more credibility. But I can't go saying we have wolves in the northern lower peninsula because Betty Sue saw one cross the road. There's no evidence there, right? So the only thing that I can say is we have no proof that we have wolves here, and we tried very, very hard. So that's the story with that.
And how do you differentiate from the koi wolves? People were seeing those. Koi wolf.
So, there's a lot of talks of wolves and coyotes breeding. Whether that's really a thing or not is kind of subjective, right? So if that were to happen, which I think there's a lot of doubt that that does happen, then they would have a lot more coyote traits. Coyote traits to them. They're gonna be a lot smaller. So the difference between a wolf and a coyote, I mean, I brought pelts from each and skulls from each. Just looking at sheer size is incredible. But when you got a coyote in the winter and he's all puffed up, he's got his nice winter coat, he might look like he's 60 pounds, right? The best way to tell, if somebody sends me a picture of a track with their hand next to it, it's about 2 seconds to tell, right? First, both coyote and wolves, their track's gonna be longer than it is gonna be wide. If it's the same, it's gonna be a dog. Even if it's huge, right? I mean, it's gonna be your Labrador Retriever, your Saint Bernard. If the tracks happen to be like that, a coyote track, 2.5 inches. A wolf track, 4.5 inches. I mean, we're talking a huge, huge difference, you know, in what their foot is. So if I have a picture of a track with something of size reference, it's almost immediate being able to tell. Um, and then, I mean, just looking at them, I mean, there are some coyotes that you look at and you're like, wow, that's a really nicely furred coyote. I see how somebody could make a mistake, especially if it's just cruising through. But, really the way they move, you look at their snouts, how they're put together, look at a lot of them. So, and we do this, like, I take reports, I probably get 5 reports a week, and we look at all of them. And I even get reports from the UP. People still send them into Eyes in the Field, and I look at them just, because I like looking at them. But, anyways,
I was under the impression that there was a known population of koi wolves or koi dogs.
no. And there's a Calhoun wolf, right? So there was a wolf in Calhoun County, which for those that you don't know, Calhoun County is like Kalamazoo-ish, Battle Creek, I guess I should say, area. Um, a guy turned himself in for shooting a wolf in Calhoun County. How it got there, nobody knows. There's a lot of speculation, but if that wolf got there naturally, it would have had to come across the straits and go by thousands of trail cameras all the way down, western Michigan to get down there, or he came around and went through Chicago traffic, right? I don't even go through Chicago traffic. So that's moral of the story in the wolves. If you do see a wolf, cougar, anything, call me. Especially if you can get a picture. Man, if you can just take your hand and put it next to a track and take a picture of it and text it to me, you got my cell phone number. I mean, I, I'm not here to deny that we have them. I'd love to find them. I mean, that'd be great. So, don't ever hesitate to send it to me. Just don't argue with me when I tell you it's a coyote, please. All right, any more wolf questions?
Did they happen to blood test that Calhoun wolf?
Yeah, they did. Yep. And so that was the other thing. Any of the evidence that we got that was like, okay, this is some potential here. We took a genetic sample of that. We could take because we had snow on. Took a snow sample of it, or you could take hair, you could take the scat and send it in for genetic testing. We just never got anything that was credible enough to do that. We wanted to be able to test that out.
I wonder if Calhoun
The Calhoun one, yeah.
from out west as a pup or something.
I can't remember what the genetics said. No, they thought it was like the Wisconsin type strain, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, yep, exactly. Well, our western, going back and forth, the Land O'Lakes, that's all. I mean, those packs overlap each other. We were just over at Sylvania and saw some, but they were the Land O'Lakes pack or the Lock, whatever, desert. Yeah, you got it. Yep. So, you gonna hear about bears or you had enough?
How about a quick question?
Question before we move to bear.
Go ahead, Richard.
Pigs, feral pigs. And that's an issue around here, I mean.
So we have a,
A few years ago, they had 2 or 3 in Crawford County. If you see one, shoot it and call you.
yeah, see one, shoot it, call me. Yep. So we've asked a question for 10 years during deer check. And it's almost annoying to have to ask it now because I've never had anybody say yes. But the hunters are in the woods, so I understand. We've got you guys out there looking for us. Have you seen any feral hogs while deer hunting this year? And everybody responds like, no, but where could I see one? You know, we haven't ever had a report, Richard. When you have feral pigs, you know. I mean, they tear a landscape up like you wouldn't believe, rooting in the ground. I mean, I'd like to turn one loose in my garden for like an hour every spring just to get things cleaned up. But
I shot one at Ted Nugent's farm and it, four shot went down.
yeah, yep.
Big cats in the upper lower.
So you hear reports of them. We haven't had anything.
Hear 'em all I think we've all got friends that.
Yep, yep. And again, that's another one like the wolves. Like if we can get some hard evidence, you know, got him, got him in the UP, right? We all saw the stuff where they've been breeding up there now. You know, they got the kittens. So, yeah. Okay. So I'll go into bear stuff. So right now is. So I like to talk about this time of year. I usually give a talk over off Lake Marguerite or Bear Lake Township every year because we have a lot of bear nuisance issues over there. So I try to give this talk about this time, maybe a little bit later every year before they come out of their dens. Bears are denning right now. I was on a bear den all day today. That's why I'm still dressed like I just came out of the woods. But bears are currently in dens, but before long they're going to come out, right? And most of us that like to feed birds are going to know when the bears come out, okay? So we're going to talk about a few things. Bears are here. The common belief is that if I call Tim, he's just going to come move the bear and it's not going to be a problem anymore. That's not the case. We need to learn to live with him because he's not the only bear in your neighborhood. There's a new one that's just going to move in to eat up your bird feeder. So, Mark, when's the last time you saw a bear over your place? Did you? Yeah, yeah. I see. You're just what 3 miles from Joyce downstream? From Joyce, are you about 3 miles downstream? Oh, are you?
Several hundred yards probably. You're on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
So it's only a few hundred yards.
Is that all it is? Yeah. Okay, so just a little bit of bear information, right? They're omnivores, so they'll eat about anything, right? They're long-lived. The bear that we worked on today, she was 13 years old. We first collared her 8 years ago, so we've seen her quite a bit. She just had one little cub today, but she's had as many as 3. Males are between 150 and 400 pounds. All the reports I get are 500 pounds, are most of the bears. Your average male is going to be about 225 in Michigan. Females are 100 to 250. The one we had today was 255. She was an extremely large female. Females average about 185 in Michigan. They're most active dawn to dusk, right? You know, you're coming home after work. That's usually when you're going to see them in your garbage can. Females and cubs are more active throughout the day, right? She's got little ones. They don't like to sleep. If you've ever been a parent, you know how that is. Home range, male 78 miles, square miles. Females are much smaller. Their home bodies, especially, majority reason is because they got the cubs. Okay, so your northern lower Michigan black bear, so that's a bear den. Most people think you're down in this deep cave. Most bear dens are really just a brush pile. It snows over and they go in there. They den from November till April. Females and cubs are going to come out the latest, right? And bears give birth every other year. So when I say cubs, I'm talking about the ones that were born this year. Today's cub was 3.5 pounds, just a little one.
Why were you there? What set you off to go there today?
I can get into that program. Hold that question. That's not a very good picture. Let me see. So you see him right there?
Oh my.
Got a little piece of snow on his head. So that's more of a traditional, what people think of a bear den. This was down underground. I'm in the hole with her. That's kind of more.
Did she wake up at all while you're busting around in there?
So that's it. So she was 3.5 pounds. So just remember the word surrogate sow, and I'll go into that. If not, I'll lose. Well, I can take a side note. I got ADD anyway, right, Tom? Okay, so the surrogate sow program. So back, it was like the early 2000s. A mama bear got killed. I can't remember if she got hit on the road or what. They had these two orphan cubs, and in the old days, you would either just euthanize them or they'd go to a zoo, right? And that's no way for a bear to live. Well, it was, I think, down in Kentucky, they did a research project that realized that you could have a mama bear with a collar on that had her own cubs that she was nursing, and you could run her off, run her cubs up a tree, rub these orphan cubs in Vicks Vapor Rub so she couldn't smell the difference, run them up the tree. You take off, she comes back, those cubs all come down, and she'll raise them as her own. And it's a very high success rate. So we have mama bears in the northern lower that we keep collars on. So in the summer or spring, we have an orphan cub. We have a success story now. That cub doesn't have to get euthanized, or that cub doesn't have to go to a zoo, or you see what I'm saying. So we try to keep a fair number online because again, they're only nursing every other year. So if I got these babies, I got to find a mama that's nursing. Can't go with a mama that's got 60-pound 1-year-olds, right? So that's the surrogate cell program. So that's what we do this time of year. We go out the handful of dens that we got. We're replacing their collars before the batteries wear out in them. So there's my little side spiel. So they're in their dens. The females are going to come out a little bit later when they've got the little cubs. So the way the life cycle works is, mom gets bred. She goes in the den later in the fall. She gives birth in, January. And now she's got this little 3.5-pound cub that's a month old. She's going to come out, in April with this little guy or girl. Gonna hang out all summer together. She's gonna train it, raise it upright. They're gonna go back in the den together. Now this little one, is a teenager, so quite a bit bigger. It's gonna come out with mom again in the spring, but now it's 50, 60 pounds. And then once the boar finds out, it's gonna run it off so the mom can be bred again. It all starts all over again. Okay, so there's your bear life cycle. All right, so this is our our northern lower peninsula. So when I think of northern lower peninsula, I'm thinking like Clare to the bridge. That's our bear population. So you can see what it's done since 1992, right? It's just been this slow, steady growth, and then it's kind of really shot up. So that's why we're seeing more bear complaints, right? There's just more bears on the landscape. It's great, but we got to find a way to make sure that we're living with them, we're doing everything right. You can see the numbers there. 2023 is our last estimate of 1,742 bears from Clare to the bridge. It's quite a few bears, right? 37% increase basically in 11 years. Not only has the population increased, but you can look at, how it's expanded, right? So we're starting to see bears coming into like northern Grand Rapids, that area down there. So these are all hunter harvested bear sites here. You're just seeing that west side, and it's proven with our nuisance complaints around the Traverse City area that we're seeing a lot more bears over there.
Then is this a function of more people hunting bear or?
Nope, the permits really haven't changed. So bear hunting is on a permit system you have to draw,
Okay.
and we're considered the red oak unit where we're at, and it takes roughly 10 to 11 years to draw a tag here.
Okay.
So I think I'm at 7 points, so I still have 4 more years of applying before I'll get a tag here. There's been a few units like the Baldwin unit because of the number of bears increasing there. We've increased the tags slightly, but this is not because of tags being increased. It's just there's more bears on the landscape. Yep. And the hunter success rate's gone up.
But so the bear hunting itself is tightly regulated in terms of the number of people.
Absolutely. And every bear that gets harvested has to be checked. They have to bring it to us, and we have to put a seal on it, a zip tie, basically with a number on it. And that bear gets checked, age, tooth pulled. Richard?
Ratio for in-state and out-of-state bear life.
I don't know off the top of my head. It's a real small ratio. You can look in the bear guide. It gives those numbers if you get online. Remind me after. I'll look it up on my phone.
Yeah, I mean, we get around here, we have occasionally we hear about the out-of-state guys coming in and running dogs, knocking down fences and doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I'm curious how many of those guys we expect to see in the
Yeah.
Well, to run them, they don't need a license, just to train their dogs.
yeah, come in early in the season, they run and then they're gonna get a license maybe.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the hound guys, their sport is just in running and treating the bear. They really don't care about shooting the bear. Most of those, I know some really good hound guys, they've never shot a bear in their life. They just really enjoy for them it's the dog work, which is cool, Yeah, right.
Now, do they have to pull a ticket to do that?
Yep. Okay, so I say all that to say we live in bear country, right? So this trash can is just on my way to work one morning, taking the girls to school. That's right at hole in the fence, the next house up from it on the Manistee River. Like bears are in everybody's backyard. If you don't think you've ever had a bear go through your yard, man, I really think you're fooling yourself. So there's some things that we got to do to remedy this. And I love feeding the birds as much as the next person. I really do. But in the next 2 weeks, we'll just shut her down and we'll just be done with it. It's not worth the headaches. If you do want to continue to feed the birds, as soon as you have a bear come in, so many folks say, well, I take it in at night. Well, there's all that seed that's spilled on the ground. They can smell it for days. Yeah, you just got to be done with it. You got to shut her down. Unless you want the bears there. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you you can't feed the birds, but you're gonna have to deal with the bears. Um,
You're shutting them down starting when?
in a couple weeks, I'll be done. Yeah, bears are
Mid-March through?
mid-March, and I probably won't feed again until Thanksgiving.
It interesting story. Interesting story. So in our field office off, it's right next to I-75 there on 93. My boss at the time, she had soot feeders outside her window. Birds, and it was about mid-March. We still had a snowpack, and a bear came in during our business hours and was going after the soot feeders. And it actually bent the pole down, got the soot feeder. And I don't know if you know Susan Teal, but she's not a very tall person. And she runs out the back door yelling at it, telling it to drop her soot feeder. But yeah, it was the same thing with her. I'm like, you need to stop, She's like, what?
Yeah. And if you just as long as you understand that there's a chance you'll see bears, I mean, yeah, keep feeding them. But we've got chickens and dogs and everything. The bird dogs are out in their kennels during the day. I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with them. And very rarely. So I think I've had two dog bear incidents, and really in my mind, bears need a healthy respect. But a black bear is a really easy bear to scare off. The ones that concern you are moms and cubs, or if you get between a spring bear and its food, right? And both dog incidences where somebody, was working second, third shift, they came home at night to let their dog out. The bear was out on the bird feeder, or the bear was on one side of the yard, the cubs are on the other. The dog goes out, barks, and the bear swats the dog. You know, but for them to target a dog, that would be extremely rare. You know, as many bears that are around and little as we see them, it just shows that they don't want to be around us any more than we want them around.
Classic thing my wife would teach birds again.
Yep.
They tore it to pieces and then lay down in the yard and flush.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Insult to injury. Yep. So I mean, just some things we can do. Just be cognizant. If you're feeding the birds, you're feeding the bears. So and just when if you decide that okay, I've had enough of them tearing up my bird feeder, it usually takes a week to 2 weeks before the bear quits coming by for its free meal. Right? If I go to McDonald's and they give me a free meal every week, I'm gonna go by there a couple more times with no meal before I give up on it. Our garbage cans, right? It's a super easy one for them to get into. Your grill, those kinds of things. I'm lax with a lot of the stuff, but as soon as I know that there's a bear in the neighborhood, I really, really try to tighten things up. Chicken coops, beehives, if you get a bear starting to get into them, I've got some schematics with some electric fence stuff you can buy. It used to only be about $250, but everything's gone up in price. For $400, you can get a pretty nice setup that it's real effective. I can share that schematic with you if you call me. So that's my scolding, but there are times where I need to help folks out, right? So I do respond to all calls, even if it's just a bird feeder, just to tell you I told you so. Take the big finger down. Um, but there are times where we've got a bear that's getting into a chicken coop once it's had a taste of chickens. We need to do something about it. Chickens are considered agriculture, just like beehives. You do have the right under the agricultural rules to shoot that bear in the act of destroying your agriculture. That is an option. Most people don't want to shoot a bear, right? We love them even when they are being a nuisance. So you can try to scare them off. You want to make them feel as uncomfortable as you can. In rare instances, I will set a trap and trap them. We've darted bears in swimming pools in Grayling. We've sat on bears up in trees at the middle school until dark and then helped usher them out of town, with vehicles. And then we've trapped bears, in town and out on Lake Marguerite and out of Wakely Lake and got them moved. So it is something that we do, and we release them at least 50 miles away because that's found about the distance that they won't, return to the scene of the crime. So If you want to see what it looks like when you let a bear go. So see, I'm standing right next to the door. He doesn't want anything to do with me. That one took peanut butter. You saw the jug of peanut butter. Usually bacon works, but bacon didn't work on him, so it took peanut butter. But so the bears in the traps, usually we don't drug them. I let them ride around. They're awake. They're in that trailer bouncing around on a 2-track all the way back to the release site. By the time I get them there, they're ready just to never be around a human. They don't want to be around humans anymore. So if you can do the same thing in your yard, you come home and it's cool. I want to take a picture for Facebook. Oh, I got a bear in my yard. Then honk your horn and run it out of there afterwards. Like make them feel uncomfortable, right? You do not want them to feel comfortable around humans. Just a quick one, roadkill wildlife. This one comes up every year. Somebody will call me. Hey, bear was on the road. Can I have it? Yeah, it's like the deer permit, right? You can fill out a salvage permit. They're free. They're online. And you can take that bear. I actually got a call. I was working some goose banding last year. Is it goose banding or KW survey? You girls were with me, weren't you? Anyway, somebody's like, "There's a massive bear." Of course, it's a 500-pounder. Dead on the road, and I had seen that bear on a trail camera because they were having some nuisance problems. Somebody hit it. I'm like, actually, I want that bear skull. So I got in the truck and was trying to get over there because I was gonna salvage it, and I'm pretty sure Todd Tompkins beat me to it. Uh, somebody was like, "Oh yeah, you just missed it. Todd was here with his forklift." I'm like, "He took a forklift?" So me and my girls weren't gonna drag it up in the back of the truck, but so I'm assuming Todd beat me to that bear, but so yeah, you can salvage a bear for the meat, for the skull, for stuff like that. You just got to fill out a permit. Same thing with deer. And there's a list of things you can't. Bobcat, waterfowl, bear cubs you couldn't salvage, elk, those kinds of things you are not legal, but that's all. That's all online. All right. Any questions? Bears, habitat, wolves, river boats. I haven't talked about river boats tonight.
How about eagles?
Yeah.
Eagles. What do you want to know about eagles?
A lot. Behavior. You go.
We had a lot of deadfall.
Are you guys together?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm the deaf one, so I sit closer.
But yeah. We have had so much fun watching, we have 3 adult eagles and a juvenile. And I never, I don't know what the third one is doing exactly, but, and I don't know where their nest is.
That's what I was gonna ask you. I know there's one down by Morley, but you guys are way up here.
So, close enough.
Morley?
There's one right before Morley,
Yeah.
but that would be too far upstream.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you guys are up by the power lines, right?
By the power lines,
Yeah.
And, it's so funny because they're across the river on the tallest pine that's just really scrabbled.
And they're in that same one almost all the time. You got an eagle tree, yeah?
It's
Their fishing tree.
Little
Yeah.
tree that's loved.
Yeah.
And, I just find it interesting that there's 3, and there's a juvenile too.
So that was probably their juvenile from last year or the year before, just still kind of hanging around.
One
It's
looks like a 1-year-old. It's not. It's still pretty model.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still really,
Yep, that's probably they're young from a year or so ago, and
Are they a yearly breed?
yeah,
Okay.
so that pair they should be nesting right now.
Well, exactly, and we think because we've only been seeing primarily one,
Yeah, that's on the
maybe
nest.
others
Yep.
on the nest.
Yep.
a couple of weeks ago, there were both of them in the tree together.
Yeah. I think Morley's too far away.
But my biggest question is they're all together. I mean, I would have thought more territorial. Will they accommodate their offspring as they age?
So we live down by CCC, and we have probably 5 or 6 eagles, different eagles that we'll see in the morning over there. The habitat's good, right? So you can have more. I mean, there's a ton of trout up there. I mean,
Well, and right now there's a ton of ducks, so.
oh, that's right. That's right. You guys got any swans up there right now? Swans?
Yeah, there's been 4 mute swans further upstream.
Are they mutes or trumpeters?
It looked like it.
They got orange?
Yeah, just a touch.
No field.
Are they still there?
This way, they're far enough away that even with your binoculars, it's hard to get a good field mark, so.
Yeah, 'cause we don't want mutes
You
around.
thinking Arctic?
Hunter, or I'm sorry, Trump.
Yeah, Trump, yeah.
You don't necessarily need one.
Well, so behavior wise though,
Because that's what.
the couple, they'll mate for life, right?
We should.
More or less. So as they breed yearly, their offspring are okay to hang in the area? I mean, I know.
As long as the resources are there, there's no reason for them to run off. As long as they got everything they need, you know.
It's awesome. We
'Cause
enjoy
they won't breed until they're 3.
I'm
They
sorry.
won't breed until they're 3. So that young one can hang around for a couple more years, yeah.
Well, and that explains the third adult, because it's still, it's pretty much adult, but the coloration on the head and tail are still coming in with it.
No, it's white.
Could be a 2-year-old. 2-year-old.
Just kind of coasting. It was so beautiful. And they're going around in a circle. And he did have a white head and white tail. I thought he was pretty adult.
So what's everybody seeing for otters on the river up here?
I'm sorry.
Otter?
Yeah, otters,
You even see them?
not many, but they've been active down on that way towards Caroline access.
The Manistee, there's a lot more otter right now.
Yeah.
Like, seeing them a lot.
Yeah. Well, cool, thanks, yeah.
Beavers?
Do we do anything with them? Trap them? On a personal level?
Here below.
How far below? Oh, really? I don't. Okay. If they ever pop them, tell them to call me. I'll check. Yeah. That's right.
So, yeah, I'll share a story with you about swans. Thank you. Last summer, we lived on Island Street, across from Potter's Marsh.
Where do you live?
Island Street. Island Street. It's at the south end of Potter's Marsh. If you go past Ermine Trail, 100 yards, then that's Island Street on the left. If you're going south on McMaster.
So past Norfolk.
Yes, next street after Norfolk going south.
Okay, gotcha.
So we walk the marsh every day.
Yeah.
So we walked out to the pond. We were at the boat launch, and there were a bunch of Canadian geese hanging out near the boat launch, and she wants to go out and chase them. So she's swimming out there, and I'm calling her off, but the geese are starting to cackle and cackle, and there's 2 trumpeters at the other end of the marsh. Those geese start cackling, and those trumpeters fly over and take a position right between the geese and her. And they start swimming around going, and just, it's like they came in to protect those geese. I'd never seen that. I have some of it on video. Yeah. So.
Struggling with the water levels out there. I think somebody pulled a board midsummer. Looking at it, it doesn't look right to me. So I'm gonna put another board in it this spring. Try to bring those water levels back up a little bit.
Yeah, and it looked like, at some point, it looked like there was water going under the boards that you could see, but I haven't been crawling around them.
Yeah, some of those boards, I mean, they've warped and stuff. You know, the water running between them and stuff happens, but when I went and looked at it, somebody called them, oh, water levels. I had been out there in a few weeks. I went out there, and one time, this whole board, one time, using a board, I'm like, that's a lot of work to move with the board. That's the only way I can think of something, but they were one out, but, you know, there was enough snow and stuff out there.
So I've got a neighbor that feeds the universe. They've got corn feeders out, they've got bird feeders out, and he's got trail cams everywhere, and he catches everything that comes through the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Right, every bobcat, every fox. coyote. He had what he was certain was a toy wolf. This is 2 years ago. I saw the picture on his cell phone. It looked big, but I didn't really think it had to bark it.
Robin's gonna be a coyote. Yeah.
But he also has a cat on there. And I'm pretty sure I saw Scooter on one of our walks in March.
If you get something, send the pictures. I would love,
Okay.
I'd love to have evidence of something.
I used to live in Oregon. I've seen cats in the wild probably about half a dozen times. I can't be sure because it was a couple hundred yards away. I saw something in the trail, and it stopped looking at me, and I'm like, well, that must be a deer. And then when it left, it crouched down and sprung off low. It didn't bound like a deer. It's fun over there. We see everything. I was tracking fox last night, and the raccoons going by my neighbors. We see, we walk every day, so with all this fresh snow has been wonderful because I see everything that comes through the neighborhood. It makes my tracks.
Yeah, take it. Take it. No, you can take it. Yes, ma'am.
Someone that called you this week about a case.
Oh, I called you back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was mad that
I never heard back from you, so I was like, well, I hope she got her answer.
No, yeah, that's what I thought. And then I saw it delivered here, so
Okay.
that's what I thought. I mean, I couldn't get a picture of it. I'm not gonna